In 1902, the world was stirring with unrest, wonder, and unstoppable momentum. Empires trembled, volcanoes roared, and voices long silenced began to rise. Previously, in part 1 of our journey through 1902, we uncovered alliances, eruptions, inventions, and unspeakable tragedies. We put the link up here. Be sure to check it out. But 1902 wasn't finished. In this second chapter, we return to a world tipping between empires and disasters, hope and upheaval. From buried cities to erupting mountains, suffragette battles to Antarctic expeditions, these are the 10 forgotten events that shaped the century. This is 1900 Chronicles, History's Time Machine, Episode 2. After 3 years of bloody rebellion, July 4th, 1902, marked an official end to the Philippine-American War. Over 200,000 Filipinos were dead, many of them civilians, caught between guerrilla resistance and brutal counterinsurgency. For America, it was its first true overseas empire, one in fire and blood. President Theodore Roosevelt declared victory, but the scars ran deep. Resistance didn't end, it just went underground. The war had ended on paper, but the price of empire was only just beginning. In December 1902, European warships appeared off the coast of Venezuela, ready to collect debts by force. Britain, Germany, and Italy imposed a naval blockade after President Cipriano Castro refused to repay loans. Venezuelan ports were shelled, merchant ships seized. The crisis teetered on the edge of a wider war. Then the United States stepped in, citing the Monroe Doctrine to halt European aggression in the Americas. It was one of the first times the U.S. acted as a global enforcer, signaling the dawn of its rising power. The guns left, but the message remained. The age of empires was shifting. For months, coal miners in Pennsylvania had refused to work, demanding better wages, shorter hours, and safer conditions. The strike threatened to paralyze the nation, just as winter began to bite. President Theodore Roosevelt made history, intervening directly in a labor dispute, not with troops, but with negotiation. The result? A fragile compromise, but a new role for the presidency in labor conflicts. For the working class, it was a rare moment of hope when the system, just briefly, seemed to listen. It was a song no one could stop humming. Vesti la Giubba, performed by Italian tenor Enrico Caruso. In November 1902, it became the first record in history to sell 1 million copies. For the first time, the human voice could be captured and spread across the globe. Enrico Caruso wasn't just a singer. He was the world's first music celebrity. And this was the moment music became mass media. The sound of one man's voice had cracked the silence of the world. In Washington, D.C., on February 12, 1902, women from around the world gathered for a cause many called impossible. The International Women's Suffrage Conference brought together voices from 26 countries, fighting for equality before most nations recognized their right to speak. They came with different languages, but one demand: the vote. Though ignored by many, their voices would ripple through the next century. And what began as whispers in 1902 would one day echo as law. On December 30th, 1902, a British expedition led by Robert Falcon Scott set foot deeper into Antarctica than anyone before them. They braved -40-degree winds, frost-bitten limbs, and endless white. Dragging sleds for hundreds of miles, the men faced a world untouched by humanity. Their journals, written in freezing tents by dim lantern light, captured awe and agony. They mapped glaciers and cataloged creatures no one had seen before. It was brutal, beautiful, and only the beginning. On the banks of the Nile, under the blistering Egyptian sun, a colossal wall of stone rose from the sands. The Aswan Low Dam was the largest in the world, a triumph of British engineering and imperial ambition. But beneath the applause came warning voices. For centuries, the Nile had flooded and fed the land. Now its rhythm was shackled. The dam changed Egypt forever, bringing power and drought in equal measure. In the shadow of progress, Egypt's ancient balance was forever broken. High in the Peruvian Andes, cloaked in mist and legend, lay a forgotten city. On July 14, 1902, a local guide led explorers to the moss-covered ruins of Machu Picchu. What they found stunned the world: stone temples, sacred plazas, and engineering beyond imagination. No one knew who built it, or why it was abandoned. Its mystery only deepened with time, feeding myths of lost empires and ancient wisdom. Machu Picchu was never truly lost. It was simply waiting. It began with rumbling beneath the earth, ignored, dismissed, and misunderstood. On May 8, 1902, the volcano exploded with the force of 1,000 cannons. Within minutes, the entire city of Saint-Pierre was erased. 30,000 souls. Silenced instantly. Only one man survived, the prisoner in a stone cell. Mount Pelée became a symbol of nature's fury and human blindness. In the early hours of August 22, 1902, the earth ripped open beneath Central Asia. An earthquake struck the border of China and Kyrgyzstan with catastrophic force. Homes were flattened, mountains shifted, rivers ran muddy with destruction. Over 7,000 people lost their lives in a matter of seconds. It remains one of the deadliest earthquakes in Central Asia's history, and one of the least remembered. 10 moments. 10 echoes from the year 1902, a year that gave us triumph and terror, endings and new beginnings. From buried cities to broken mountains, from coal fields to courtrooms, 1902 left a mark the world would never forget. And yet, so many of its stories remain hidden, waiting to be rediscovered. Thank you for traveling with us through time. We are committed to uncovering rare and untold stories, and your support helps bring history to life. If there's a story you want us to explore next, let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us for more journeys through the past.